Hello and thank you for joining us here on THV 11 News at noon on this Wednesday. I'm Hayden Balgavy filling in for Journey Taylor, and here are the stories we were following right now. Coming up, President Biden offers Israel firm support with his trip after tensions rise after a deadly explosion at a hospital in Gaza. Little Rock City leaders working to address the nationwide shortage of affordable, more housing and the new option that they are bringing to the city. And within the hour, Jim Jordan loses the House's second speaker vote. A closer look at the representatives' push for the remaining votes needed to win. But first, we're going to send it over to meteorologist Nathan Scott joining us this afternoon. Nathan, starting off, and of course, we're seeing this beautiful weather, but as you said earlier this morning, going to get a little bit warmer as we continue throughout the day.
Good afternoon, Hayden. Yeah, this morning we need the jackets, we need the sweaters. Start off the day with temperatures into the 30s in Mena. Also, Clinton, 46 was the low here in the capital city of Little Rock. But we've recovered very quickly with all that sunshine, beautiful blue October sky. 73 is the number right now in the capital city, 71 in Searcy, 70 in Hot Springs, 71 in Arkadelphia. And we still have several more hours of daylight to heat things up. Also helping us, warming us up, is the southwest wind. From the southwest, like I said, 5 to about 15 miles per hour. So temperatures today will climb up close to 80 degrees in many areas. And numbers like this, they're going to be sticking around for the next several days. We do have a very weak front that's moving in from the northwest tonight that may produce a few scattered showers, but that chance is fairly low. I'll have a better look at that coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Concerns over Chinese spying have now led to state officials to tell one company they need to sell their farmland in Craighead County. Here's the details for you. Yesterday, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Attorney General Tim Griffin announced plans to enforce a new law banning foreign parties from owning farmland here in the state. Now, the governor said a seed research facility in northeast Arkansas is owned by a Chinese state-owned company. Now, the new law allows the AG to order the company to give up the 160 acres and slap it with a $280,000 fine.
Seeds are technology. Chinese state-owned corporations filter that technology back to their homeland, stealing American research and telling our enemies how to target American farms. We will make sure that every company operating in Arkansas is a friend to Arkansas and good to hardworking Arkansans.
Now, the governor said this is the first time any state has used a law like this. Griffin said the company has 2 years to sell that property. As for the fine, it comes from a failure to disclose the ownership stake in a timely manner. And during that announcement, Governor Sanders also responded to questions about the Podium her office purchased for $19,000. Now, when questioned about the absence of that Podium, the governor said the reason she is not using it is because the media would talk about nothing else if it was used.
Because I figure if I do, then you would talk about nothing else instead of the important actions that we're actually taking today, which unfortunately is not surprising that while we are focused on things that actually impact our state and impact Arkansans, the media wants to spend all of their time focused on things that frankly don't.
Now, that audit's still going forward. That will investigate claims that the public documents were illegally altered to cover up the Podium purchase. It's expected to be finished by the end of this year. Now, the governor repeated yesterday that she welcomes that audit. And now to a THV 11 update. The Little Rock officer accused of shooting and injuring a man following a police chase is officially off the force. The police department announcing yesterday they fired Officer Giovanni McClendon. He shot a man who began to drive away during a traffic stop on September 30th. McClendon is facing charges of felony first-degree battery and misdemeanor first-degree assault. Now, his termination was decided during an LRPD administrative hearing, who said his actions violates their policy. Now, the man who was shot is expected to live. While war between Israel and Hamas continues, President Biden arrived in Israel this morning. Now, his trip to Jordan was called off after an explosion at a Gaza hospital, killing hundreds of Palestinians. Ian Lee is following the very latest developments from Tel Aviv.
President Biden once again promised full U.S. support during meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet.
As long as the United States stands, and we will stand forever, we'll not let you ever be alone. We're going to make sure we have what you need to protect your people, to defend your nation.
The president's trip to Israel comes just hours after a massive explosion at a Gaza hospital. Both sides are blaming each other for the attack that left hundreds of Palestinians dead.
Based on the information we've seen to date, it appears the result of an errant rocket fired by a terrorist group in Gaza.
Many of the injured were brought to a nearby hospital, already overwhelmed with patients.
They try to find a safe place, they try to find a shelter, and they have been attacked by a barbaric bombardment.
Despite U.S. support, international pressure is mounting on the Israelis to scale back their blistering attacks as the death toll in Gaza climbs past 3,000. But with 1,400 Israelis dead and Hamas still holding about 200 hostages, including women and children, Netanyahu remains defiant.
The forces of civilization will prevail for our sake, for your sake, for peace and security in our region and in the world.
Anger is spreading across the region. In the Jordanian capital Amman, protesters tried to storm the Israeli embassy. Many expect that rage to only grow while Israel keeps bombing Gaza. Ian Lee, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Reporters traveling with President Biden asked what made him confident Israel was not behind that hospital strike. He said data he had been shown by the U.S. Defense Department. Well, the conflict has been a major issue on the presidential campaign trail. Former governor and GOP candidate Asa Hutchinson has been a vocal supporter of Israel over the years, even visiting the nation during his time as governor. Now, Arkansas currently has economic ties to the country, but after deadly attacks on civilians, Hutchinson says the humanitarian efforts need to be the main focus.
Israel needs to go in and to destroy Hamas. They also need to make sure that there are pathways for innocent citizens to get out.
The former governor is standing firmly behind Israel, calling for more aid to civilians in Gaza. Now, he says he supports President Biden's decision to visit the country this week, but he is critical of the decisions leading up to these attacks.
I believe the administration is doing what is needed to be done. And disagreement would be that we showed weakness that allowed this aggression to happen to begin with.
Hutchinson says he doesn't expect the war to negatively affect Arkansas's economy directly, but as things progress, international politics could certainly impact things like oil prices. Well, President Biden has a complicated mission in Israel today. One key point in all of this is Rafah, where Gaza meets Egypt in the south. On one side of that border, thousands of people are desperately trying to flee. On the other side, the crucial supplies are not being allowed through. Chris Livesay reports on the situation there and how Egypt is responding.
The last exit out of Gaza, blocked. Thousands of Palestinians caught in a bottleneck at the Rafah gate, hungry, thirsty,
these people here,
and exasperated.
These people here live. It's not life.
Among them, up to 60 U.S. passport holders, according to the State Department, like Susan Basiso from Utah.
I feel like I'm betraying my family and my friends. I'm leaving them behind. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I don't know if they're going to be okay. I don't know if I'm going to ever see them again.
On the other side, Egypt, where security forces fear they could be overwhelmed by a human stampede, says former Egyptian lawmaker and Israel expert Ahmad Gad.
You have two choices. Number one, to try to prevent them and shoot them.
And shoot them?
Yeah. In order to prevent them, you must to use arms.
Could you just do that?
No. This is one choice. I think it's impossible. The second choice, that Egypt can allow for them to enter for a temporary time.
But then there's no guarantee.
There is no guarantee according to historical experience.
He points to the millions of Palestinians living in Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan for decades, temporary camps turned permanent. Egypt must also brace for potential violent extremists among the refugees crossing its border. This after Egypt in recent years waged war in the Sinai Peninsula with its own jihadist insurgency, linked to Hamas and right at the Gaza border. a border with a vast network of tunnels used by Hamas to feed its deadly arsenal. There's little to stop terrorists from blending in with civilians entering Egypt, he warns.
The Egyptian will be afraid from this scenario. That's why Egypt doesn't open the Rafah gate to pass the Palestinians.
Despite Egypt and Israel fighting repeated wars in the last century, the two countries now enjoy normalized relations. Egypt has even served as a peacemaker between Israel and Hamas in recent conflicts. For now, there is a plan underway to allow some Gazans with foreign passports to go out in exchange for foreign aid to come in, like these trucks idling in Egypt. But as Israel and its neighbors work out the terms, Israeli strikes targeting Hamas continue, including here at the border with Egypt, killing civilians in the crossfire.
But there's still a chance that gate will open. Egypt is enduring a massive economic crisis and is under mounting pressure to accept financial incentives, perhaps with the United States, in order to reach a deal. The president of Egypt is speaking by phone with President Biden later today. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Cairo.
Meanwhile, back stateside, the House continues to struggle to elect a new speaker as Republicans are divided about who should lead. Another round of voting just wrapped up. Jim Jordan of Ohio says he is not dropping out of the race despite a lack of support from Republicans. Now, he can only afford to lose 4 votes and still reach that 217 needed to win.
I already proven I can get from the most conservative members of the conference to the more moderate members of the conference. So, got a whole cross-section of the conference. It's important that we get the last few.
Now, a growing number of people are calling to elect Representative Patrick McHenry as the Speaker pro tempore in hopes to allow Congress to perform those basic functions. Now, the motion to temporarily empower the Speaker pro tempore could happen as early as today. Well, Thunder Over the Rock is returning this weekend. When we come back, a closer look at the event and the crowds that are expected to file.
And here's a view from RView 11. It's wonderful weather on our Wednesday. Lots of blue sky. Temperatures warmer than what we saw yesterday. And if you are a fan of warmer temperatures, you're going to love the next 7 days. More on that forecast next.